From our conversation this morning on the program would now be joined virtually by our newspaper analyst for today, who is the former head Northern Operations of the Nigerian Tribune, Mr. Sanya Adejoku. Hello, good morning to you, Mr. Sanya. Can you hear me?
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thanks for asking, sir. Well, let's get straight into the conversations this morning. And leading our lineup is the report that the federal government has re-strategized its approach to fighting insecurity in line with fresh attacks in Benue and Borno. There was an extensive deliberation on the floor of the National Assembly about which state is suffering a worse condition of insecurity, whilst lawmakers grappled over a return of Boko Haram in Borno and an onslaught of terrorist headers in Benue State. Let's get your thoughts on this report on what it will take in terms of a new strategy to find lasting solutions to the situation in Borno and Benue.
Good morning once more. And this matter has lingered for too long. It has become a recurring decimal. And I think it's unfortunate that just like we had towards the end of President Jonathan's regime, we are also seeing it now. And it appears that it is coordinated. I believe that it is time that our military takes the battle to the insurgents, rather than wait for them, rather than be reactionary. I believe that it is time for them to go forward and meet them wherever they are. We cannot continue to wait for them, and then they will come, outbush our military, and come and destroy them, kill them anyhow. Or even in Benue, where people just come, kill people, destroy their farms, burn their houses, loot everything, and go away. I think it's time that we remove politics from it. People should not be afraid. My take is that the federal government that's led by President Tinubu is handling this issue with keep going. That's my observation. He's afraid to go and really confront these people because they are the ones who are threatening him right now with not voting for him for second term. Who are these people? Especially in Benue, we have evidence. Even governors have said it. The governor of Nasarawa has said it, that they are Fulani herdsmen. And we know the affiliation, the connection that people have whenever it comes to people of their tribe, people of their religious aspirations, and so on.
Now, Mr. Sanya, talking about the statements of the governors, yeah. Sorry to cut you, but talking about the statements of the governors and your insinuation that it might have ties with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election, the governor of Benue State, Governor Alia, kind of countered the National Assembly's invitation to him, citing that the insecurity in his state is being sponsored to remove him. He also alleged that the State House of Assembly is also mulling an impeachment plot. Do you think that this insecurity and the connotations of having influences on who is in power and the next elections should be prioritized above the value of the citizens' lives?
It should, but don't forget that politicians will always be politicians. All the politicians wants to win the next. So be careful. We rather sacrifice many things so that he can get re-elected. For instance, look at Benue, for instance. I do not really believe that Benue's case is about re-election and impeachment. I do not believe so, because in Benue State, majority of the elected legislators are thieves, and the government is also a team. I don't believe that a team will go and be sponsoring people to kill his people just so that he can impeach the governor. I do not believe so. And don't forget that this issue of insurgency in Benue State predates Governor Alia's regime. It's been there. It was the excuse that the former governor gave for non-performance in his 8 years, I think Reverend Alia also erred because he wanted to gain popularity by suspending the anti-open grazing law. Don't forget that the Nasarawa state governor also mentioned something like that. And Nasarawa governor is, to me, is not a frivolous person. He's a frank person. And then, they share boundaries. So whatever comes from Benue is likely to also affect Nasarawa. Don't forget that towards Agatu local government and so on and so forth, there is a connection. There are boundary communities between them. So I do not believe that in Benue it has to do with removing Governor Alia. I think it has to do with Governor Alia doing what is right, what is proper to do. Bring back the anti-grazing, open grazing law. Because we already had, look at also something in Plateau, for instance, when the GOC raised an alarm earlier this week that there is an influx of cows and herders into Plateau. And he was afraid that that's going to cause a lot of problems because they will now start entering people's farms. So the thing to do is to rise up and defend your people. Everybody is saying it now. Defend your people. I don't know why we will have a state now that will also not be doing something in terms of internal and law enforcement, like we have in the local state, the Odua state. Even though Amotekun is not able to do as much as if it was empowered to really carry arms and fight those people. But it's something. People are. It's not open sesame as it used to be when there was no Amotekun. So in Benue, I don't think so. But generally in the northwest and also in the northeast, I believe that there is a fear that because let me recall sometimes around 2011 when this thing was still fresh, so to speak, and President Jonathan's regime was dealing with insurgents in the northeast. I recall that legislators from the northeast, both from the Senate and the House of Reps, came together and addressed us in the Senate chamber, warning President Jonathan to stop killing their people. Yeah, it's on record. They came and said he should stop killing their children, that he should rather deal with them as the late President Yahya dealt with the people in the Niger Delta. That's what he said. And I was talking about, many of us at that press conference were surprised that how can you be talking like this? They said government should rather call them and ask for what. So the thing I'm saying is this: blood is thicker than water. This thing, even though people will say, yeah, they are not good Muslims, they are not blah blah blah, but those still forget. I also remember it's something in the newspaper, it's on record, that at one point the Sultan of Sokoto also said, if you kill Boko Haram, you are against God. So this is that sentiment. There are things that are on record that people have said. And we also remember, the former governor also said, if you kill Fulani, you are just captive. They will come back for you. Please see, there's this affiliation. Blood is thicker than water. No matter what we say, people in the northwest, the northwest, and even the northeast have affiliation. They believe more in their brothers across the border than in their brothers who are in this country with them, like the Southerners. So until all of us become Nigerians and we can come together and seriously decide that enough is enough, this thing will continue. So if the federal government is there, President Tinubu is there, is looking, another election is probably less than 2 years. It's less, because it will be around February or so of 2027. So another election is less than 2 years. And the North is already threatening him. So he will also be careful. And it's unfortunate. We have all the people in the middle heading the security agencies. Most of them are from the North. The two ministers of defense are from the North. The National Security Advisor is from the North. In fact, it's from the Northeast. And the head of chief of Chief of Defense Staff is from the Northwest. So why would they deliberate? Why would they, maybe not deliberate? Why would they not be able to tackle these things and say, yeah, they are the people that are suffering more are our people. So why do we wait? Why should the soldiers? Why should the military? Why should they wait in their camps? They call it super camps. Why would they wait there? And the insurgents will come and meet them, and then they will be repelling them, defending. Why don't they go and meet them wherever they are? We read all these things. We know where they are. Even as I'm here now, that is, I'm not a military man, I'm not a security man, I still know that I can begin to recall some of the places where they are hiding, where they are in the northeast. You have somebody like Zaragoza, who is able to tell us what is happening, where these terrorists are, where these insurgents are. So, if a journalist, if a citizen journalist is able to locate all this, if he has that kind of information, why is it difficult for our military to also know it and take action? So I believe that we are not serious about it. We are still not serious. We are waiting. And I hope that it will not get to a point where everything will go up in flames. I really
we all hope that way. But one thing I also want to find out is in our approach, listening to the interministerial briefing yesterday, the position of the information minister was that the media owes Nigeria a duty of underreporting what the terrorists are doing in what he calls information war, that they shouldn't be given as much publicity. Is it an opinion you share as part of the strategies in finding a solution to the current issues?
I lost you there.
My question was on the Minister of Information's comments. He said that the media owes Nigeria the responsibility of winning the information war, and as such, publicity should not be given to terrorists. Do you agree with him? Is it a position you also share?
No, I will not want to give it the same interpretation as you just did now. I don't think it means that we should underreport. What he is saying, that, and I agree with him into is that we should not romanticize them. We shouldn't sensationalize it. We shouldn't publish in such a way as to suggest that they are having the upper hand, or that to encourage them. You know, anybody that is experienced in journalism know that there is a difference between underreporting and romanticizing. I also agree that we cannot. We are citizens. There is no way that we will begin to write in such a way that the insurgents are doing something good and demoralize our own military. No, we shouldn't do that. I think I agree with him. I do not believe that he's saying.
I also agree with you in this position on the matter. I agree with you in this position in terms of how we report the stories. But the challenge with new media now is that we have certain platforms that allow these terrorists to post the videos of them celebrating their ransom monies, executing men of the armed forces, and little is being done to curb the media space in terms of the social media and the access of these terrorists to those media spaces. For traditional media, in keeping with our ethics of journalism, we would always do our due diligence. But for social media, how does the government approach this?
That is their fault. That's the fault of government. It's the fault of the Minister of Information. It's the fault of the Minister of Communication. The two of them are in charge of that, and they should know how to do it. But again, I sympathize with them. The way that we have deteriorated. I mean, not we have. What do I say? We are in an information age. So it's difficult to keep information to, but we also have a duty. I mean, government has a duty to not succumb to blackmail. I believe that there should be a way that government should regulate social media. This is a very touchy topic. Because I know that there are people who are always advocating that there should be unfettered access to information. But I don't think, and I have not seen any country in the world where government will allow madness in the name of press freedom or free flow of information. So there are certain sites that government has the responsibility to censor. Yeah, if government does not do that and it is pandering to all this road mentality, because what we have in Nigeria right now is road mentality. Whatever anybody does now, even if he is doing something wrong, but as long as he is abusing government, even if he's doing something wrong, and a government agency arrest him or try to caution him, you will see the role, even political leaders coming to say it is wrong to do that. So, in essence, I was saying, because we want freedom of information, because we are in a democracy, somebody can just come and malign others on the social media or in the information space. I do not think so. I think, just like people are saying, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has been saying it, I think he also said it. I think it's one of the things that you read in the newspapers this morning. I think Mr. Peter Obi has also been hammering it, that we should allow democracy to thrive. And one of the ways that democracy will thrive is if there is rule of law. If there is no rule of law, democracy will not thrive. And rule of law does not say that people will have access. We just be irresponsible. Democracy is not the same thing as irresponsibility. So, if we have sites that are doing that freely, it's the fault of government. Government can also talk to Meta, the owner of Facebook, the owner of WhatsApp, the owner of Instagram, and tell them that there are certain things that you cannot promote. Look at how government was able to also tackle the issue of what's the name of the man now? The man in Finland, by talking to the
Simon Ekpa
and insisting. So I think the responsibility lies with government. Look at when President Tinubu and others were in the opposition. Even though they knew that the right thing to do was to remove fuel subsidy at that time in 2012. Yet, because they wanted to gain government, they had to discredit the government of the day. And unfortunately, President Jonathan succumbed. It is his fault that he succumbed. The responsibility of a president is not to be the most popular person. It's to be the most responsible person who knows where he wants to take the country to. And that's why when they are abusing President Tinubu now, or doing what he campaigned against, I just laugh. I laugh because the buck stops at the table of the leader. So if you know that what you are doing is the right thing, you don't mind the opposition, because there's no way that the opposition will not fault what you do. If Alhaji Abubakar now and Mr. Obi begins to say President Tinubu is doing very well, so why would they have to campaign against him? How will they move the move?
Now that you've moved the conversation in that direction, let's pick up another issue in the news in relation to that, the positions of former President Goodluck Jonathan as to what he considers Nigeria sliding into a one-party state. We've seen massive waves of defections quite recently from the NNPP to the APC. We've also seen the campaign PDP members join the APC. Of all the defections, it almost seems as though the APC is the major benefactor. Do you think that this is a risk of a one-party state? Because the former president was also pointing at Delta State and saying, take a look at the State House of Assembly there. Almost all the lawmakers are APC members. Does it do well for our democracy?
Even in Edo, you remember, also this week, the remaining PDP lawmakers in Edo also moved to, even the speaker, you remember?
Yes,
2 days ago, even the speaker also moved to APC. But again, let's not forget that this week too, LP members, some LP members in the Enugu State House of Assembly also moved to PDP. So, but I don't see Alhaji Atiku complaining about that. I don't see PDP people also complaining that LP members in Enugu moved to PDP. So the thing is, okay, if I gave it, I spoke with somebody on this and I gave this analogy. I said, if we have four. There are four of us who are manufacturing water, manufacturing table water. And then I discovered that everybody is just buying from wherever. And I looked at it one day and I said, what am I going to do? And then I went, I repackaged my container. I said, okay, because there's a problem of nutrition in Nigeria, let me put a drop of vitamin A in my own water. And then I start selling and I start advertising that, look, my own container is better. I know my water is not just the common water, it now contains vitamin A. And then people start coming. Are you going to bill me for doing that? Will you say I should have given my competitors the same formula so that they can compete with me? No, it's the business of competitors to go and do it. Now, we are in a democracy. Do you expect that President Tinubu or the chairman of the APC will not say, Alhaji Kwankwaso, please don't come to our party, go to PDP so that there will be one party state? No! I believe it is the responsibility of the opposition to also do their work well, diligently. What the opposition does is to fault government. So continue to fault government and fault them well in what they are not doing, not in just propaganda. See, I know that the way the country is today, no matter what you say, no matter how insensible it is, once it is seen to be against government, people will clap for you. But there are sensible people who will look at what you have said. Is it true what you have said? If you say, like Alhaji Adejoku was saying this morning, that President Tinubu should go and trade his Escalade for innocent motor, is that a position? That's just pandering to the common people now, people who cannot actually analyze things. Otherwise, is it when you make laws, do you say the law should be retroactive? If laws are retroactive, are we not going to say the government is doing bad? So that Escalade has been bought. What we are saying is, from now on, for instance, can anybody say that new policy that we should buy Nigeria is a wrong thing? How? Is that opposition? Is that a responsible opposition? That's the right thing that anybody should applaud. And I think Mr. Peter Obi or something, I can't remember now, applauded it. That's what we should be doing. That's not, for me, if I'm a member of the opposition or if I'm a politician, I would rather go for fundamental things, not just pander to things and say you are speaking just because you want to talk, So, President Jonathan saying that people are going to one party. President Jonathan is a PDP member. And don't forget there are speculations that they also want to prep him to come and contest again and finish his 4 years in 2027. So, he's also playing politics. If you knew, are you going to say that people should not watch ABBN? Or why are you improving the program? If people are beginning to watch ABBN, we would say, no, go and watch this one, go and watch that one.
Well,
is that possible?
Well, Mr. Sanya, there's always room for improvements. Yeah. And the other point that former President Goodluck Jonathan made was that he said a one-party state might not be entirely an evil thing. It depends on how it's done. He used the example of Tanzania, where he talked about Julius Nyerere and how it was done to unite the nation and giving a timeline on when it would subside to allow other political parties, if they choose to, venture into the ring. Do you think that in replicating the Tanzanian situation, the Nigerian political actors would do well in keeping with the timing?
I doubt. I will not support a one-party state. I will not support a one-party state. A one-party state is like a military regime. It means there is no pluralism. It means if you are there, then what you want, what your views are, is perfect. You are like God. Nobody can be God. Nobody can know it all. Nobody can. Yeah, there are countries where they practice one-party state and things are moving. But unfortunately, that has not been our experience in Nigeria. We remember military. Nowadays, I hear some people saying that the military should rather come back. I know that they have forgotten. Those of us who are doing this job when the military was still there, we remember how terrible those periods were. It wasn't palatable at all. So there's no way that we advocate a one-party state. No, But at the same time, I'm not going to blame any party when people are flocking into it, because it means that they have something that people are believing in. Like I said, look at the last election. Mr. Peter Obi gained a lot of sympathy because of the way things were. People saw him as fresh, as new, and who is not among the old order. So a lot of people flocked towards him, including the fact that the Southeast have not had the opportunity of leading this country. Somebody of the Igbo extraction has not led this country since what's the man's name now? General Agric. So that sentiment also helped him. But I'm not going to support one party state. Julius Nyerere was in Tanzania. How many tribes were in Tanzania? Two, I think. Those two countries, those two people that came together, Tanganyika and the other one. We cannot compare it with Nigeria, where we have so many ethnic groups in Nigeria. Although it can bring development if we have benevolent dictators. But I don't see any benevolent dictator in Nigeria. Most of the people who are leaders now, yeah, we will call them leaders, even though they are not leaders in that serious light. They are not showing a real sense of responsibility that we call them leaders. Most of them, including those in the opposition and those in the ruling party, they are not really as we should be able to call them leaders. But I can't see any of them really as well that is as benevolent that is treating the country well. Most of them are selfish. Most of them, the people who are complaining now about nepotism, that Tinubu is appointing Yoruba people, they also did so during their own time. So it now appears as if we are doing rotation, so that when you get there, you can favor your people. You favor your people. I remember during President Jonathan's era, Yoruba people were complaining seriously. There was no serious person in Yoruba as a Yoruba man who held serious position during President Jonathan until probably close to election, when he began to appoint somebody from Akoko, from Edo, from Akoko area of Ondo State as his chief of staff, one military man who retired. And then he began to put somebody in petroleum trust fund and so on and so forth. So, after him, President Buhari came. He also concentrated. He even didn't concentrate in the north. He concentrated in Katsina State. I've seen statistics of how many people from Katsina that were in serious positions during President Buhari's regime. And then now you have President Tinubu, who people say is doing the same thing, even though his own people will also argue that what he's doing is to replace and then balance up. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, in Nigeria today, among those people who are struggling to lead us, I don't see anyone that is selfless enough that will be a benevolent dictator. Because if we have a one-party state, then we have dictatorship. That's my view.
Well said then. Let's move on to another issue in the news. We had touched on it earlier when you referenced the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's position urging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to sell off his Escalades if he is to be seen to practice the Nigerian First policy. Now, this morning, more reports are that the federal government is adopting the eat what you grow practice in response to the global trade war. They've also taken it a step further by signing a pact worth $158 million to boost agricultural production in the northern part of the country. I don't know, beyond the Escalades, since it is now targeting agriculture, how much of hopes do you have that this Nigerian First policy would help us be more or less bulletproof to the bullets from the global trade war? Well, it may seem as though we're having some technical glitch with that connection, but as soon as Mr. Sanya Adejoku is able to rejoin, he would lend his thoughts to our next point of conversation. Hello, Mr. Sanya, are you still with us?
Yeah.
I don't know if you got my question before we had that network glitch.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, my question was on
Yes,
the
I'm here now.
yes, on the grow what you eat practice in response to global trade war, and how much of
Yeah.
our hopes should we get up with this $158 million Agric Pact?
Well, the grow what you eat, to me, is the best thing to do. Yeah. But it is not a new policy, really. You remember that when Mr. Emefiele was CBN governor, there was a list of is it 32 or how many items that he said were not eligible for official forex to import. I really supported that policy then. But you know, as Nigeria is, people are always faulting anything that government does because the the interests differ. It is not everybody that is interested in the real development of this country. Most of us are very selfish. And so importers started to complain. Even manufacturers that thought were going to be the first to applaud this thing were also complaining that blah 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 blah. So although I also so they also pander, they also that government during President Buhari also succumbed to international blackmail. You know, people were coming. There was a time that people came from which country is that produces stockfish in the Scandinavia. They came and then they met with Mr. Emefiele and were complaining that Nigerians were not buying stockfish from them because blah blah blah. And Mr. Emefiele told them bluntly that they should come here because we have salt water here, we have oceans here too. They should come and breed their fish here so that they can make stockfish and we can buy. So I like that. They also came, I think people from Thailand also came complaining about him not allowing people to use official forex to import rice. And he also told them blatantly that it's not possible, that we are going to develop our own economy. But again, when President Tinubu, and you remember, people now started complaining, we Nigerians, we started complaining that things are expensive, that they should open borders, that people are suffering, blah, 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 blah. And when President Tinubu came, he cancelled that policy and he opened the borders. Now that he has opened the borders, some people are also now complaining. Who are the ones complaining now? Farmers especially, because farmers are no longer getting as much as they were getting when we were not importing rice, when we were not importing food materials. Because of that, things are food is cheaper in the market right now. But how long are we going to do that kind of thing? When are we going to make the necessary sacrifice, develop our own economy, so that we can stop complaining about these things? So I believe that the Nigeria first policy is the right thing to do. Abia State government, I think Abia State government even raised the federal government to this because a few weeks or about less than 1 month or two ago, the Abia State governor announced that he was going to begin to purchase only things produced in Abia first. And it is after they cannot get anything that is produced in Abia that they will now go and purchase from outside the state. Now the federal government has copied it, which is a good thing, that okay, we are going to buy Nigeria. That's what should happen in any country. That's what Trump is doing. That's what most people. I don't think that China will go and import anything from Nigeria that is produced in China. It's not possible. It doesn't make sense. So the thing is, let us buy Nigeria. We cannot complain that there is no job. We cannot complain that there is no wealth. We cannot complain about poverty. Complain about all manner of things when we export jobs. If we export jobs, how are we going to develop in Nigeria? So we cannot, because of those who depend on importation for their livelihood, now say we are not going to develop our own. I heard somebody saying that things produced in Nigeria are expensive. Yeah, they may be expensive for now because of scale. You know, there's something we call economy of scale. If you are not buying in China, they can produce cheaper because one, they have electricity. Two, they have scale because everybody buys from China. from all over the world. So if you produce 2 million items, 2 million pieces of an item, and the other person produces 10,000 pieces, how will 2 million, that person who has scale, not how will his product not be cheaper than the person that is producing less? So the thing is, let us sacrifice. It is to our own benefit. And the 178 million or so that they say is going to be enough. I don't know. It depends on how it is spent. Look at what we did during the last regime, during the Mayfield's regime too, the anchor borrowers program. How did it end? It ended because it didn't end well because our people are selfish. You know, you have anchors giving money to farmers to go and farm, and then after harvesting, the farmers will quickly go and sell to Indians and bypass the anchor, the person that gave them the money for that farm in the first place. They will quickly go and sell to another person at a higher price. So at the end of the day, the anchor loses. So it is still selfishness, and everybody is blaming government. If farmers are doing this, and they will now go and blame government that government is cheating, that government is not responsive to the citizens, I don't see. The thing is about us. I'm not really happy about our attitude as
I can sense it, and I can hear it in your voice. It's a dissatisfaction with the state of things in the country. It's sentiment shared by most Nigerians. Let's talk about some legislative interventions that have kind of tilted towards the endings of Nigeria. And when it comes to the much purported tax reform bills, the Senate has passed two parts of that bill. They have also decided to retain value-added tax at 7.5%. On the sharing formula, they have decided that the federal government will take 10%, while local governments take 35% and the states take 55%. But many continue to complain that certain states don't have as much choice, as Lagos continues to enjoy much of the share, with most headquarters of whatever we can talk about when it comes to productivity located in Lagos. I'd like to get your thoughts on the tax reform bills and how they have advanced so far. To your interest, or do you see much needed deliberations, shifting certain clauses just to make Nigerians more satisfied with the sharing formula?
Yeah, see, nobody likes to pay tax. Nobody. Even in the US, even in countries, in OECD countries, where they say tax is probably 50% of income, 40% of income, 60% of income, no citizen, even in those countries, loves to pay tax. The thing is, government is the one that is responsible, that we ensure that people pay taxes. And in the case of Nigeria, when you say people are not paying taxes, I really do not believe that we are not paying taxes. It depends on who you are paying to. You know, when you go to the park, now, you want to get transportation. The Agric people will collect money from you. The Agric people will collect money from the taxi driver and so on and so forth. Is that not a form of tax? When you say 7.5%, yeah, I think that it is okay for us, for the National Assembly, I applaud them for maintaining that 7.5%, because increasing taxes now, increasing rates of taxation now is not the thing to do. Things are not very well with Nigerians generally at the moment. Remember that it was 2 years ago that we had this PMS high deregulation in the petroleum industry. We also had the liberalization of the foreign exchange policy. We are still feeling that pain. Right now, the Minister of Power has hinted that federal government may not be able to continue paying subsidy. And so we cannot have all those things around the same time. It will not augur well. Life will be difficult for people. So let's continue to pay this 7.5% until such a time that the economy becomes more benevolent and government can think of improving it. Now, talking about sharing formula. Yeah, people can say Lagos is taking too much because of location, but don't forget that people are localizing or locating their industries, their headquarters in Lagos because of a certain reason. It must be because there is a conduciveness in Lagos. The business environment is probably more conducive, the infrastructure is probably better, and a government that is also a host to those headquarters and companies also has the responsibility to also take care of things. Because of these things that we're talking about, the population of Lagos is ballooning. So Lagos government also has the responsibility to cater for the population that is there. What I want to suggest is that other state governments too should continue to begin to do things right. Make the condition for doing business proper. Let there be reason for people to want to come and do business with you. You cannot say that, and what I want to say now, I'm being responsible about it, and it's not a jab at anybody at all. Look at what is happening in Southeast, for instance, where people cannot go out on a Monday to go and work. That's not a conducive atmosphere. So I will advise us as Nigerians to look more deeply at things that affect us. Some of these things are what will scare away investors. And if I know that there is no security in a place, for instance, why will I go and locate my business in Zamfara, for instance, when I know that at any time bandits may come and kidnap me and kill me? If I have a child that is still in the university or wants to go to a youth service, will I allow any of my child to go to the northwest states? He will rather not serve. Or go to Borno and so. I know it is God, and like in Nigeria, we say it is God that protects, no matter where. Death can come, even here in Abuja that we are. Death can come at any time. But as human beings, what we see gives us more comfort than what we envisage. So I will appeal to everybody, every state government. That's why we are there. Look at what this man in Niger State is doing right now. He's doing well, and he's popular because of what he's doing. You know, he goes to churches to go and sing praises with them. Even though he's a devoted Muslim, he's a good Muslim, he goes there. That's PR. That's inclusivity. They call him farmers governor. He's doing well for his farmers and so on and so forth. So if I want to farm now and I have the opportunity and I get land in Niger State, why will I not go there? Why will I not go and cite my industry in Niger State if I have a governor that is as serious as that? So the thing is not to just blame people, it's to also do well. You know, when you have, look at the North, for instance, generally in the North, President Jonathan did something that, was it Almajiri education? He built so many schools. From reports that I have gathered, none of those schools is functional as of today. So, how can they then be complaining that people are not coming to invest here? So the thing is this, let everybody be serious. If we are really serious about development, let us be serious. It's not about mouth. It's not about just talking about except do not support you. Yeah, we know you have population. Yes, it is good. But the thing is that the ultimate? Are we just looking at getting power? Getting power to do what? Is it not to help people? Is it to steal? Is it to just corner the nation's resources to yourself and share it among the people, whereas poor people continue to abound in everywhere, every nook and cranny? You know, it's a serious thing that I don't know. I really think that as Nigerians we should be more serious than we are right now.
Well, I must thank you, Mr. Sanya, for taking out time to share your thoughts with us on the program this morning. We appreciate you, and we're wishing you the best of the rest of today.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day too.